Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about the number one thing you can do to improve your lighting, and that is to eliminate or reduce glare. Now, what is glare? Glare is a very concentrated light source, and the surrounding environment is not very bright. So, it's very intense contrast that is in your direct line of sight, not necessarily in your peripherals. So we're going to talk about some ways to eliminate that and reduce that. And I'm going to show you here real quickly what glare could look like. Say you put in, we're just going to use a box here, and this is, but we're going to turn it into a light. Say it's a big, someone's just like, oh, I just want to flood the space with light. I'm just going to put in this big strip. So they put in this big strip, and it's a 20,000 lumen fixture at a low ceiling height. That becomes glare. That right there. This space is not very comfortable. It's very bright, and the light source is all right there, and it's not really getting good light into the space, not really that healthy kind of light that we want. So, one thing you can do to eliminate glare is use optics. So instead of the box store cheap downlights where you see them and they're Uh, maybe they're like this. They're just a omnidirectional type light. They have no optic control. There's a cheap box for like 50 bucks, a box of six. You know, you spend millions of dollars on a home. We want to use something where the light source is tucked up into the ceiling and then the light is just getting into the room. It just kind of fills the space and it creates a whole different feeling. You know, in residential, sometimes we want 3500, 3000K, make it feel warm. There's different lights. A good light will have different optics that you can choose when you build the part number out. And the purpose of that is based on the ceiling height. So if it's lower ceilings, you kind of usually want a wider flood. If it's something, we'll just turn this up a little bit so you can kind of see it fill in the room a little more. You kind of want a wider flood. If it's higher ceiling and you need to get that light down to the ground, you can have a more narrower beam because the light is going to spread the further down. See how the circle will get a little bit bigger, and then as it gets closer, it gets narrower. As it gets further away from the ground, the further the light spreads. And that's why most lighting manufacturers have a spacing criteria where it says SC 0.8 or SC 1.2. You take that and times it by the ceiling height, and that tells you how far you can space these apart without getting uh, any of that darkness, that light gap there. Um, so that way, if it's like, okay, you got a 10-foot ceiling and it's a 0.8 spacing criteria, if you use this optic, then you want to space it out no further than 8 feet to seal the light. You kind of do the same thing in your rows and your columns, but that's kind of off topic from glare here. But so that's the number one thing you can do is use optics. The other thing you can do, excuse me 1 second here. The other thing you can do is use shrouds. So let's see, we'll put this light right here. Say, you know, you have a lamp, a table lamp, and just a omnidirectional light. We're going to, let's see, look at a standing lamp, sometimes otherwise known as a floor lamp. And I like that one. We'll put that one right there. You know, you want to find something with a shroud like this that's going to make that light less harsh. And then we can put it right in here. We'll turn that to 3000K. And then we'll turn on the shadows. You know, shadows will help show you this shroud isn't translucent. It's not letting the light through. see, it probably normally would be like a little slightly illuminated. Let's see, luminance filter, um, opacity. Let's see. Okay. Apparently, I don't know what I'm doing here with Twinmotion, but just for example purposes, if this was a real shroud, if you do have something that doesn't filter any light, it would honestly look like that. But if you get a shroud that does filter light, it would probably make it a lot softer. It'd be like, it would still spread the lumens out like that, and even distribution, but except you won't get that harsh, 1200 lumens or whatever lumen the bulb is. It's going to be kind of condensed and a lot softer, and that helps eliminate glare. The other thing is, in your downlights, uh, even if you're doing like an uplight, you can pick out fixtures that have on them, quality fixtures will have IES files where they put it in and they study the IES, and also where it can have certain kind of optics or reduce glare so that the light source itself might be tucked back into the fixture, or maybe it has like a honeycomb type louver. Um, so that way it can not be quite so harsh, and it's going to look, create a very different feeling, just like a lot softer, and you're just going to be seeing the light that's hitting the wall or coming into the space and not the light source itself. That helps reduce glare. The other option is of course controls. So we'll just take these, and say we turn them all up. Oh, let's see here. That's not the. Let's undo that because I don't know what like that. That's a light on another project. Oh, I can't change it at the same time. Oh, there we go. So say it's turned up. This is the light at full brightness. If you put it on lighting control, whether that's line voltage dimming, you got to look at the light source that you're using and its dimming capabilities. Some only dim to 10%, which isn't very much. Some dim to 5%, and quality ones dim down to 1% or lower. Some even dim to off. You can do line voltage, which would be ELV or triac dimming, or some of them are 0 to 10 volt. Most of the time, commercial fixtures are 0 to 10 volt. But if you're trying to do something specific, sometimes that's the only option you have. So then you'd have to run an extra. Uh, you'd have to run your hot and neutral, and you'd also have to run a purple and gray wire, two low voltage wires to dim that 0 to 10 volt. Or sometimes, even now with the color changing fixtures, they're DMX. So, but ultimately, to help eliminate glare at nighttime too, what you want to be able to do is have them on a dimmer. So that way you can dim it down if you want and kind of control the light through its maximum output and making it a little softer. Um, so that's the three things: use optics, use shrouds, dimming, control system. The other thing that I've been doing that I haven't really talked about is called placement. So position your lights and where you place them in your space, and also pay attention to your height as well, your ceiling height. So if we're doing the down lights, say you put the down lights in a 10-foot ceiling, um, and if it's just an omnidirectional light, maybe it's a decorative one. If that serves a purpose, that's great. But I'm going to back up a little bit. By adding filler light and filling space and making it brighter, it helps eliminate that glare. If you have those center lights, if those are all you have, then it appears more glary to the eye because your surrounding light isn't very much, and you just get that concentrated light source. So if you have a light in your ceiling without optics and it's only a short ceiling, just flooding the space might work. But then if you get uh, a 20-foot ceiling, those lights without the optics to focus that cone down that we were talking about earlier, it's not getting functional light to the work plane. It actually loses 90% of its light output by the first 3 to 4 feet. So it's not really doing any good. And then if you put it down lower like this, that's when it actually gets in our line of sight, where it can actually light the room. So that's why it is important. Unless it's a decorative fixture and it serves a statement purpose, that's usually fine. But if it's something that you're trying to get light into the space, um, you know, we can widen that beam angle a little bit. Then it's usually you want to have some type of optics or control and adjustability to it. You can do a couple downlights. You got the indirect lights coming up from the ground. There's lots of different ways to do it, but placing, you can also place it if you have art lighting or just want to highlight the vertical surfaces, then you would pick out an adjustable light and aim it towards the wall, and you place it a certain amount, probably 2 to 4 feet if you're trying to wash the wall. And then if you're trying to graze it, it depends on the light, but probably 6 to 12 inches from the wall. And not just if you're doing a linear light or a recess light, not just on these table lamps, but in the recess version as well, you would want to have a shroud or something to protect that concentrated light source from seeing it. Um, or maybe it's cut into the ceiling and it's regressed up in there. So that way you're not seeing that light source. And it's just the light that's being casted onto the wall. Those become your accents, the fillers that are bringing in that attention to the vertical space. And then maybe you have linear light here that is, let's see, we'll shrink this one down, that is grazing the rock on the wall here. Something like that. And then that becomes your focal piece. And then in the middle, to have some main ambient light, you can do the downlights. You could also do nowadays with LED tape light. You could do just about anything, I feel like. But you would want something with higher output, and you would want to put, instead of a shroud, a lens over it to make it a lot softer. You could do a very narrow line of light, but you can almost do like 1,000 lumens a foot and spread it out a little bit. Let's see here. So it would look something like this. We'll just turn that up just a little bit. That way that's the light, and then by the time it actually fills the light with the space, it would kind of help fill the rest of the room. And then you get something like this, which looks a lot different. And we, of course, would keep all the color temperatures the same, 3000K. And nowadays there's even dim to warm, there's tunable white, there's RGBW. There's a lot of different things that you can do. So we'll just kind of make that a little yellower tint. There you go. Something like that. Well, thank you for watching our guide on lighting design, and the number one thing you can do is eliminate or reduce glare. And if you found this video helpful and would like to explore how we can illuminate your space, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to T. Kestner at tklightingdesign.com. That's TKAESTNER at tklightingdesign.com. Or give us a call at 208 215 1003. And don't forget to visit our website at www.tklightingdesign.com for more information and inspiration. We're excited to help bring your vision to light.